Have you entered a relationship simply seeking love from your lover, your spouse? And the question now begins whether it is that you truly have love within your own self. So I see many people today going into relationships, but sometimes deeply yearning and seeking the love that they so desire within themselves in another person. Now, it's not to say that when you enter a relationship, you are not gonna want to experience love from that person. But the question now begins, are you not even having love within yourself, but totally placing all that demand of love on your partner? Now, on the topic when it comes to relationships and love, we now have to go so in depth within ourselves and see that the love that you're seeking from another person has to start within yourself. So, in other words, we're talking about self-love here. Do you love the most intricate parts of you, even when you're not your greatest version of yourself? That's the question you now have to ask yourself. You see, from a very young age, we're taught to seek love outside of ourselves. But just from my own inner growth and development, especially after my great spiritual awakening from many years ago, I've come to the realization that you have to first experience that great self-love within yourself in order for you to actually, should I say, receive it from another person. Now, the focus here is on relationships, as in relationship with a lover, a spouse, a partner, whatever it is that you're in right now. But we now have to go forward and see that the experience of love itself starts within thyself. So let's go more in depthly into this. From the time you're, let's say, an infant, you're seeking love from your family members. You're seeking love from friends. Eventually, you start dating. You're seeking love from that partner, that girlfriend, that boyfriend, that eventually, if you get married, that spouse that you have. But have you actually sat back and reflected and said, wow, do I actually have love for myself? Now, I'm sure on a scale of 1 to 10, many may actually say, maybe I have love for myself. Maybe I would say at least a 7. But the question now begins that out of 10, you should actually have love for yourself. 10 out of 10, meaning that even in those moments where you do not feel like your best self, you do not feel in this, world, we might call it a flaw. Maybe it is that, okay, someone might say you're selfish, someone might say you're stubborn, someone might say like, hey, this person is just such, like, whatever word that comes to mind. This person is just not a good person. But the first thing you have to tell yourself, even while you're going through all of these growth and development stages in your life, understand that it's a daily process. So even when you yourself do not feel the greatest love for yourself, you have to understand that you have to continue to strive to love those, should I say, many might say it's a shadow side to you, which we all have. We have to love these characteristics that stems from our ego, which shapes our identity in this world, even when we're not our best self. So now heading towards seeking that love from someone in a relationship. So you might want somebody to be the most caring person towards you, but have you sat back and think like, wow, am I caring? Am I giving? Am I a kind, compassionate, loving person? Am I authentic? You see, many people head into relationships saying like, oh, I want the most loving partner, somebody that's faithful, somebody that, will just be there for me to support me and love me regardless of what we go through. But are you that kind of person? So moving forward, what I would like to urge each and every one of you is to simply start with yourself first. Every time you demand a certain characteristic in a person in terms of loving you back, you have to first tap within yourself and say, am I in fact that person? Now, when you begin to do that, you could actually start attracting and seeing that reflection in another person. Now, the other step too is that you can make what you value in a relationship, you need to also make it clear towards another person. It's not just like heading into a relationship and expecting that person to just be like, okay, this is what I want. Maybe you may have said it once, but understand that the relationship itself is a process. So you may have a discussion about something, but maybe you have to keep through every different experience that you may have to keep going back to certain qualities and traits that you're looking for in that other person. Now, it's not to say that you just have to quote unquote take any sort of bullshit from another person if you feel like that person is not valuing you in terms of what you step forward into wanting to experience in a relationship. So if in fact you're in a relationship right now that you do not feel like it's a compliment or reflection to what you're seeking in that partner, it's now time for you to question and see, should I stay in this relationship or should I leave? Now, going by my own experience, I remember being in my 20s, and even though like I always felt like I had great love for myself, that was just, I would say, my prime state where I was experiencing, dating different people and just really grown into the person that I have now become today. And did I per se want to seek love in that person? The answer may have been yes at that moment, as in maybe certain qualities that I was looking for, I was deeply yearning for at that time, I would seek that in that other person. But as I have matured in age, going through a marriage of over 10 years, mainly throughout my 30s, even when I was in that relationship, I could have said that maybe certain parts of me did demand that certain characteristic that I was seeking for in love. But it was also another step for me to see that I had to grow more into loving myself and having that deep self-love within myself to say, wow, is the love that I demand in another person being reflected back to me? Now, being in my 40s, being now divorced and being single, after having my awakening, I should say, a couple of years ago, I totally feel like it starts with me. So in other words, the man that I'm now calling in is somebody that I would want to actually complement that love that I have for myself within me. It's not that I may not have certain requirements, I should say, as in what I seek in that partner to reflect that love to me, but I would now understand that having those very qualities that I seek in will naturally gravitate to a person that will reflect and complement the love that I have for myself. So this is just a very general topic on what love truly means. What is it that you're seeking forward within yourself, basically, that will be reflected back to you? So please understand that. Are you entering relationships seeking love from another person? The answer should be that, am I truly loving all intricate parts of myself? And when I do enter a relationship, just understanding that that is what will be reflected back to me based on the self-love that I have for myself.